Hey, we're live. We're doing a live stream today. And let me tell you something. Tonight was a bad night to be a pitcher.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. If you don't believe me, there's my lower third. It says Sully. I am an Emmy-nominated television producer who has been a baseball podcaster for over a decade. This is my fifth season here at the Locked On Podcast Network. And if you're watching us live, and I see I've got at least a few eyeballs in the live feed there, hey, you can tell we're doing a crossover today. I'm in the Bay Area. So is Ben Kaspick of Locked On Giants. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. I was sweating it out there for the end of this second Giants game of the day, but it ended in my favor, so I'm better now.
So tell you what, we're going to be covering the fact that the Giants added 2 wins to their win column today. Today was just a surreal day, but I will just say, first and foremost, the most important thing, a lot of people were swinging for the fences all day, and you could swing for the fences on Sleeper Picks. You could win up to 100 times your money. Download the Sleeper app and use promo code LOCKEDON. You'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms for details for use. Currently operational in over 30 states. That's more than half. Check out Sleeper today. So, by the way, follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter and Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. By the way, nobody has guessed our trivia question yet from the other day, so I'm going to throw it out there one more time. It's this. There have been several instances. I have to say several because someone did it twice. There have been several instances where the pitcher who won the Cy Young Award for that year also won the World Series MVP for the very same year. Who is the only 2 to not be in the Hall of Fame? I made one mistake. I said there was only 1. 2 are not in the Hall of Fame. Won the Cy Young Award and the World Series MVP. So send those questions along. And away we go. Hey, let's bounce around the league for a second before we break down the 1.5 Giants games. We are obliged to bring up Shohei Otani at all costs for all, it boosts our numbers. Everyone's interested. Anytime you say Shohei Otani, it goes up a little bit. He got an RBI triple today. The Angels beat the Yankees again. There, we have fulfilled our obligation to mention Shohei Otani. By the way, the Red Sox lost right across the bay to the A's. Hey, the A's aren't going to lose 162 games. They're going to win a game every once in a while. They happen to win against the Red Sox, but it didn't really hurt them because the Yankees lost too. By the way, in the Phillies win over the Milwaukee Brewers, Kyle Schwarber homered. Bryson Stott got a big RBI single. The Brewers cannot capitalize on the Reds' day because the Phillies beat them in a 4-3 win. Remember when the Pirates were in first place by themselves less than 2 months ago? Yeah, they're now in the basement. Once again, they got clobbered by Cleveland, 10-1. Josh Naylor hit a pair of home runs. The Pirates were down 5-0 before they even came to bat. Ben, do you know that Simpsons meme where Grandpa Simpson walks in into the restaurant, and he sees that Bart is working as the maitre d', and he just walks in, turns right around, and walks right back out? That must have been Pirate fans tonight. I feel badly for them. They're in last place now because the Cardinals won with a walk-off home run by Nolan Arenado. Remember how the Marlins have been a wild card team since May? Well, right now they're not anymore. They fell out of that spot, which now the Phillies occupied. Now, Ben and I are going to be talking about the picked up the what was it? The suspended game that was finished today, and the Slugfest, which I'm not convinced is over for the nightcap. But there were other Slugfests today. Did you see what happened between the White Sox and the Mets?
I saw the score. I didn't really see much of the game.
Wow. Alvarez homered twice for the Mets. Tim Anderson had a 3-hit day. Final score was 11-10. This was not the best showcase for Lucas Giolito if they were
No.
trying to trade him, because he gave up 8 runs in less than 4 innings. File that under yikes. The Royals and the Tigers are both going nowhere, so the pitchers took the night off. Another 11-10 game. The Tigers scored 4 runs in the ninth, and it was not enough. And who is the hottest team in the National League West? It might be the Rockies. They took 2 out of 3 from the Yankees, and they won against the Astros. Chris Bryant, remember him? He got a big home run for the Rocks. I hope he spends the rest of his career in Denver, counting his money, padding his stats, and polishing his World Series ring. The Rays are in a slump. They lost to the Rangers, 3-run home run by Corey Seager, who should be a Yankee, but he's a Ranger. The Orioles could not take advantage of that. They were thumped by the Dodgers, 10-3. Jason Hayward, remember him? He got a big home run. 2 more World Series champs for other teams helped the Padres win, Joe Musgrove and Juan Soto. But here's the question, Ben. Before we get to the Giants' weird and fun day, did you see any part of the strangest game of the year, which was between Arizona and Atlanta? Did you see any part of that?
I was following it. I saw all the home runs that were hit. I saw Matt Olson make a big error.
Yeah.
And I was disappointed ultimately, because the D-backs are in the race with the Giants. And I thought the Braves were going to pull it out, but no, the crazy game went the D-backs' way.
Well, and it's like these are 2 teams, the Braves and the Diamondbacks, are supposedly 2 of the best pitching teams. And 16-13. It was 5-2 after 1. It was 7-5 after 2. Austin Riley hit 2 home runs and drove in 7 runs. And Ketel Marte got 3 hits. It was Perdomo got the 2-run double in the 9th inning, put the Diamondbacks up 16-13. So, I mean, look, right now, the Astros have a 1.5 game lead over the Red Sox of all team in the American League wild card. As it stands right now, it looks like Minnesota is going to beat the Mariners, which means that the Twins are going to hold on to a 1.5 game lead over the suddenly slugging Cleveland Guardians. But let's take a long, close look at the National League right now, because that's, again, it's weird. Braves got thumped. They still have a 9.5 game lead, so they're not in trouble. The Brewers can't lose any. In fact, they lost and gained ground because of the Reds dropping 2 games.
You're welcome.
And the Dodgers, with their 2 game, they've won 8 of their last 10. The Dodgers, the entire National League West won. The Dodgers, the Giants, the Diamondbacks, San Diego, and Colorado all won. The Dodgers are currently up 2 games in the loss column on the San Francisco Giants, who have won their last 7 games. And I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. It's never the wrong time of the year to go on a 7-game winning streak. So look at Ben. This was not a good day for pitching, but that's us bouncing around the league right now. We come back for segment 2. Ben and I are going to get on the high diving board. We're going to do a deep dive on just an absolutely nail-biting day for the San Francisco Giants and a hair-pulling day for the Cincinnati Reds. And it's a day where, do you know what? If the Giants wind up making the postseason this year, earmark the 18th day of July, because this was a big day. Hey, let's talk a little bit about our new sponsor. Who is it? It's Dave. Now, let me tell you something. We've all been in situations where we need a little bit of cash. We need that little financial boost. Maybe you get hit by a new bill. Maybe you have to. Maybe there's a car repair you're not expected. There's something. Oh, because that an expense hits you, and you're not paid. You pay days in a couple of days. We get in these little pinches. No one's fault. But this is why Dave is great. Dave can get you cash when you need a hand between paychecks. Can help you build credit by settling extra cash advances on time. Dave is a banking app that's leveling the financial playing field. When you download Dave, you can get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less. No credit check, no late fees. It's part of Dave's extra cash account. Advance the money you need with no interest and settle up later. Extra cash gives you more money to buy groceries, fill the tank, and take care of those unexpected bills, or get your car repaired, take care of a medical bill. I don't know what it is, but without having to wait for your next paycheck, Dave helps smooth the way over. You can build up credit while you settle on time. Millions of people have already downloaded the Dave app to make their finances easier. So if you're in a pinch, get the help you need by downloading Dave. Download Dave at dave.com/MLB. That's dave.com/MLB. You can get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less. No credit check, no late fees. Download the Dave app now or go to dave.com/MLB. All right. Hey, Ben, I got you on here. We did our tour of the league. Now let's talk Giants. Wow. They had to play the suspended game from the other day. Couple rain delays later came yet another wild game. You have the floor. Tell me your thoughts just on the games themselves. Doval picked up a pair of saves, and you were throwing some great stats at me about Flores. So let's talk a little bit about the fact that the Giants picked up 2 games in the win column in less than 24 hours.
Yeah, I mean it's a huge swing. You could lose both games and you're in a much different position. If you have a chance to play 2 games in the same day, and the thing is when the first game resumed, it immediately was a big pressure situation with runners on second and third and 1 out in the 8th inning in a tie game. And there was like strategy involved because they actually pinch hit for JD Davis, which
Mm-hmm.
was surprising because they don't normally do that. I know they platoon a lot, but JD Davis doesn't get platooned. And the guy who hit for him was Lamont Wade, who doesn't even play the same position. And so it was, I think it was a good move because JD Davis has some swing and miss, and that's really a spot where you want to put the ball in play. And it ended up that Lamont Wade Jr. struck out. And then the next batter was hit by a pitch, Patrick Bailey, which loaded the bases, and then they had Mike Yastrzemski up, so 2 different kind of dangerous lefties against a righty reliever there, and he struck out, and so that was a blown opportunity. They actually had yesterday second and third nobody out, and Conforto
Right.
made an out, and then there was a rain delay that ultimately led to a suspension. But anyway, the Giants have just been able to pull these kinds of games out this year, and like on the road, that ballpark, that team with a chance to win it in the bottom of the ninth. Ellie De La Cruz gets on base and then he steals second. He's originally called out. Replay calls him safe. So it's Ellie De La Cruz on second base as the winning run in the bottom of the ninth. So you're looking like you're going to lose that game.
Yeah.
And they pick him off. They pick him off second base.
I
Tyler
couldn't believe that.
Rogers.
I completely at that point, when I didn't mean to cut you off there, but when you watch a game sometime
Fine.
and there's a moment where you just think, all right, this is I don't want to say we,
Yeah.
yeah, but like you're saying, okay, this game's over. All right, and like
Yeah.
you're tempted to even turn it off. Like I don't want to see the inevitable.
Yeah. Right.
And
That's how I was feeling.
that was a moment I was completely convinced. Okay, this game, there's no scenario where they're going to lose this or they're going to win this here. But no, there you go.
Picked him off. I mean, the pickoffs just don't happen very often, and it wasn't like he was stealing either. He was just taking his secondary lead, and it was just a really, really good kind of spinning move by Tyler Rogers, who I don't know that I've ever even seen him throw to second base on a pickoff attempt, and it was just the perfect kind of moment to do it. And they got him in a rundown. They got him out. They got through the ninth. They went to the 10th, and Well, Giants have been, I believe, I don't have it pulled up, but I will in a second, pretty darn good in extra inning games this year. Their record in extra 6-2. The
Hmm.
Padres, by the way, 0-9, just to throw that out there and pour some salt in the wound for the Padres. But just the other day, they played an extra inning game in Pittsburgh and they got, I think, 5 runs in the 10th. And so here they get, I think, three or at least two in the 10th in the first game there. And then Camilo Doval shut it down for what would be the first of two saves on the day for Doval. And so, yeah, it's huge to pick up that win, even though they blew that opportunity. And then Ellie De La Cruz looked like he was going to win the game with a run in the ninth, and they somehow won it. And then they somehow won the next one, which was also an insane game.
I don't
11 to
want
10.
to. Before we jump to the 11-10 game, which was either a great game, a horrible game, but I know there's no Giant fans have any fingernails left after that
Yeah.
game. I do want to go back to the one play that you kind of glossed over quickly in extra innings. The Peterson doubled home the ghost runner to make it 3-2 in the 10th, but it was the play of India throwing wide to home when that scored Peterson in
Peterson.
extra innings that gave that extra run. Um, I thought Peterson was going to be nailed at that moment, and the throw was not a good one. Yeah, I think a good throw may have gotten him, but there was a sense when that second run came in,
Yeah.
there was like, okay, okay, the
Right,
Giants
because
have this.
you know the Reds are going to get that free runner on
Hmm.
second too. And so if you only get one and you're the road team, you're not feeling all that good about it. So if you have a chance to get a second, then you do get that second, then it makes a world of difference. And you don't have to pay any attention to that guy on second base in the bottom of the inning if you have a two or more run lead. And that's exactly what happened. And Doval could just ignore him. In fact, I was looking down at the time, so I didn't see the move, but they were saying on the broadcast that he intentionally balked the runner over to third because they didn't want him looking in at the signs and relaying. I mean, I guess they're hitting pitch comms, so I don't know what
Yeah.
he was doing, but so maybe it wasn't intentional. But yeah, Peterson, I thought had a really good jump on that ground ball by Michael Conforto. He got a good secondary lead, and there was no hesitation, even though it was kind of a low liner that bounced somewhat close to India. So Peterson, kind of a crafty, good base runner,
Yeah.
and he did
Yeah, I
that.
think he
He
always
did
has
something
been.
in
He always has
yeah.
been back in his days with Los Angeles. Yeah.
hmm And so yeah, it was huge. And yeah, I mean that second run, I just can't, especially in a ballpark like that, is huge. And just even to get one, there's plenty of teams that and the Giants have had their moments of it too, where you can't get that guy in from second. And so, yeah, just I mean, obviously the Padres have had their troubles being 0-9. I'm sure plenty of times they haven't been able to get that guy in.
Okay, so the first game was tense enough. Now let's go to the one that was one flew over the cuckoo's nest, cuckoo for cocoa puffs, however you want to put it. This one was crazy. Um, uh, and I'm just going to point out a couple quick things at the beginning. Disclafani was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Disclafani was terrible. Sean Manaea was not much better. And look I'm not a cut your hair guy. I just know that when you have crazy hair and you're pitching great, it looks awesome. When you have crazy hair and you're pitching to a 5.82 earned run average, mix it up. And it goes the other way. If you're getting pounded, grow your beard out. Do something new. There's something about, it's kind of like if you have a big, huge beard and you just got rocked, you got to think, just give me a razor. Get this thing off my face. And so I kept wanting. He's just been dreadful, absolutely dreadful, Sean Manaea.
He has had his stretches of being really, really, really bad. There was a stretch that kind of ended in the last couple outings that in which he was actually good out of the bullpen. Maybe
Yeah.
like a 8 game stretch or something where he was really good. But today you saw kind of struggling. It's command for him. If he's
Hmm.
not if he's falling behind, you're going to see walks, but you're also going to see hitter friendly counts like 2-0, 3-1, 2-1, whatever, and then you've got to throw it in there, and then you get hit a little bit. So yeah, overall though, the body of work, you're right, it's not been great. Neither has it been great for DeSclafani, although he started out great. He had a really good first month, but since then he's fallen off quite a bit. And
Yeah.
Ross Stripling they've had a lot for a team that's got a record like they have. They've had a lot of individual pitchers really who have had kind of major struggles, but they found a way to win even despite multiple pitchers having rough outings today.
And there was rough defense today, especially at the beginning of the game. But when you and I were getting prepped to do this live cast, you gave me a stat about Wilmer Flores, and just fire that along for me.
Yeah, so Wilmer Flores, it was this game and the other game, which was played in parts of 2 days, but it's just two games, and he became the first Giants player since Barry Bonds in 2002, which was like a monster. It was arguably better than his 2001 season by some,
Hmm.
you know, calculations. But first player to have eight or more total bases in consecutive games for the Giants since '02 Barry Bonds. So total bases doesn't count walks. So it's just like basically if you hit two home runs, that's eight total bases, right? Because four and four.
Yeah, yeah,
And so he didn't have two home runs in both games, but in one game, I think the first game he had a homer and he had two doubles. And then in the second game he had two homers. And so it's just crazy to me. All the players that have come through, Buster Posey, it's not like they've had, it's a tough ballpark and all that, but still,
right.
first since Bonds, it's kind of just, I mean, yes, it's in Cincinnati, but the Giants go to Colorado
Yeah, it's
multiple
still a
times a
major league
year.
stadium.
And yeah, so Flores has been red hot, like absolutely red hot. And so,
And he's so red hot, even when he hits into an inning-ending double play, it still delivers the game-tying run because he hit that line drive that Benson caught, and the throw came home, and I think who Wisely scored, and
Matos.
I didn't think. Oh, was it Matos who scored? I thought
No,
Matos
no,
was.
no, no, no. Sorry, I thought you were asking who got thrown out. It
Okay, yeah,
was Matos.
Wisely scored, and I remember I was watching the game, and I thought, "Oh, don't send him! Don't send him! Don't send him!" Because I thought he was going to get nailed. I didn't think it was deep enough to score him.
He's
Why
fast.
Wisely scored? I barely know Wisely, so I didn't know how
Right.
fast he
I
was.
thought so. Yeah, a lot of, yeah, he's,
Wisely scored, but then um, uh, I was at Mathos gets thrown out at third,
yeah.
so I'm like, okay, they tied the game on a double play that ends the inning. Wait, what? But so even if you hit into a double play, it's still a productive. By the way, it was Christian Encarnacion Strand of the Reds who hit the go-ahead home run in the fifth or sixth inning, and he's yet another guy who is on their top prospect list who's now on the team. They just keep bringing up young players. I mean, whether I know they're on a terrible slump right now, but if you're a Reds fan, even if they miss the postseason, which clearly no one was picking the Reds to go to the postseason this year, um, they are really putting together a tremendous foundation for the 2024 season. And oh yeah, just uh, uh, just in case the old timers want someone, Joey Votto hit a freaking home run as well. It was just everyone. I think you hit a home run today. It was such a bizarre game.
Yeah, and the Giants came back multiple times, and those were like gut punching moments with the Encarnacion Strand 3-run homer. It flipped a 2-run lead into a 1-run deficit, but the Giants just answered right back, tied it in the sixth. They got three of their own in the top of the seventh, and then the Reds got two in the bottom of the seventh. To me, this game tonight, the second game, was really about getting to the back of the bullpen because
Right.
the Giants had to use a bunch of pitchers. I mean, in between, they used Scott Alexander, and he's one of their normal kind of late inning guys. But besides that, DeSclafani, Manaya, Mauricio Llovera, and Jacob Junis, who also kind of imploded and hasn't had a great season,
Mm-hmm.
they used a bunch of their B pitchers, their non high leverage pitchers. But as soon as they were able to get to Taylor Rogers and Camilo Doval for a second inning, They were clinging to a 1-run lead, and they put up two zeros in the eighth and the ninth, and they absolutely needed to because it was 11-10, and so they've got the guys. They just had to get there.
Before we go to another ad break, be honest with me, Ben. When Votto walked in the ninth, you thought they were going to rally to tie the game.
Oh yeah, I mean just like with Ellie in the first game. I mean Doval, you've got all the trust in the world in Doval, but
Right.
pitching for the second time in one
Yeah.
day and that ballpark and the way this game had gone, yeah, for sure, it's not a great situation.
All right. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about where the Giants fit in this really difficult to predict National League West race. Hey, by the way, if you have Sleeper on your phone, today was not the day to put in pitchers to try to have your pitcher go far. But if you were going to put in Doval to Sleeper, guess what? You would have a couple of saves. If you were going to put in Riley, wow, you're going to have a great day. This episode is brought to you in part by Sleeper. Want a chance to win more money with less picks, or is it fewer picks? I don't know about the grammar there, but head to Sleeper where you can win up to 100 times your money. If you don't believe me, look at that. Why would I lie? I got Sleeper right there on the phone. I'm going to put in Austin Riley for 5 more home runs tomorrow. Why the heck not? They're offering 100 times payout for up to 8 pick contests. Choose as many as 8 players that you like and pick more or less on your favorite baseball stats like home runs, strikeouts, hits, or more. Get your picks right and you can win big. You know what? If you think, well, look at the people who are just hitting. Flores hitting home runs, Riley hitting home runs. Who's going to do it tomorrow? I don't know. I would pick for a bunch of people to hit home runs in the Giants-Reds game because
Yeah.
everyone has an exhausted bullpen. Ben may have to come in and pitch a couple of innings. You know what? I'm going to pick Ben. I'm going to put a couple innings in for you. Guess what? More on those stats. Put them in there, and they can have fast and safe withdrawals when you win. Use promo code Locked On. You'll get up to $100 match in your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 30 states, which is more than half. Check out Sleeper today. Oops. Always good to say oops in the middle of an ad read. We're live. Hey, Ben. This Giants team is starting to remind me a little bit of the 2021 Giants. I don't think the Giants, they're not going to win 107 games like that team did. But you and I talked about this. I never thought they were as good as 107 wins, but I also didn't think they were as bad as 500. I think the reality is they're somewhere in the middle. And the difference is in 2021, so many of those little blue pits fell in. And in 2022, they were caught.
Mm-hmm.
And this team right now, they are a wild card team as of this recording. And they are perilously close to Los Angeles they're right now. I'm right here. They are 2 games back in the loss column. They're a game and a half out of LA. Now, LA obviously is an extraordinarily talented team. But the Giants are knocking on the door. They have leapfrogged the Arizona Diamondbacks, and they have the best record of all the wild card teams now that they've passed Arizona. Tell me your thoughts. I mean, I think the Giants are positioning themselves well for a wild card spot, but what should they do, especially in the fact in a couple of weeks we got the trade deadline? They got to make a decision or 3 in terms of what kind of team they're going to be going forward.
Yeah, it's a good question. Their starting rotation has basically had 2 constants in Logan Webb and Alex Cobb, and outside of that, it's been a lot of kind of guys getting pushed out because the performance wasn't there, a la Sean Manaea. That's why he was not starting tonight. He started the year as a starter. Ross Stripling, who's going tomorrow, similar story. I mean, if you want to look up the numbers, man, Stripling has been really, really bad.
Yeah.
And
I'm
so
stunned by how bad he's been, quite frankly.
yeah, yeah. I mean, given the Giants' track record, they've done pretty well with the free agent pitchers they've signed. Gosman, Rodon. I know that I mean, Gosman. He wasn't Gosman until the Giants got their hands on him, and
Hmm.
so they helped him become what he's become. And so anyway, I mean, you could definitely look at starting pitching as and not just depth. I think they have a lot of depth. They have a lot of guys who can be starters and give you innings and all that, but like frontline starting pitching.
Yeah.
And then another thing, their offense has kind of been until tonight scuffling a little bit. And at second base, Tyro Estrada is out with a fractured hand, and they've kind of turned to some rookies like Brett Wisely
Hmm.
and Casey Schmidt, who I would say in the last couple days and tonight in particular, like they started to show some signs of life. But before that, they had been struggling a lot. And so you could look at just at the shortstop position too. I mean, Brandon Crawford isn't the same as he once was, and he's entering the last year of his contract, and there's not a lot of great shortstop free agents. So you could look at someone who could play shortstop, like just how kind of they acquired JD Davis last year at the deadline, and he's become, when Longoria left, he was a nice guy to fill that void, given that he wasn't just a rental player. So I don't know that they'll only target rentals. I think having someone they can bring back next year, maybe who could play shortstop,
Hmm.
could make some sense. But yeah, I think like impact. I'm not sure they need like kind of these supplementary pieces. I think that they could use like Otani would be the perfect player because he
Yeah.
could be a starter for them, which they need, frontline starter. And the only problem is Jock Peterson is like kind of primary DH, but if you can get Otani, maybe you figure that out.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to ask you about that, because I think Otani is one of the. I think San Francisco is one of the potential landing spots for Otani. The Giants have shown they desperately want to throw a lot of money at a big star, and they did. Yes, they did last winter, throwing a lot at Judge and at Correa. It just didn't work out for either one. And in some ways, when you look at it, Correa has been underperforming and Judge is injured. You wonder if that was a blessing in disguise that they showed their fans they're willing to spend, but they didn't get saddled with any injury on their. It's tough to throw Judge under the bus there because he's a remarkable player. That and his injury he had in Los Angeles was, a bit of a fluke. But if they could acquire Otani, if they could get into the Otani sweepstakes, yeah, he's worth whatever prospect you can throw at him. And maybe, just maybe, he gets exposed to what a great place San Francisco is to play. I don't know. It's a huge, it's a huge, huge long shot. But yeah, Otani would be the ideal acquisition
For
for San
pretty
Francisco.
much for anyone, but yeah,
Yeah,
for the Giants. And I think the fans would respond
yeah,
by packing the park, to see this guy, and the atmosphere would be back, because they've had some, like last year the vibes were just kind of off, and with the team and with the fans, fans growing a little restless. Only the one playoff appearance since 2016 at this point, just
yeah.
2021. And this is a
I think
team
that,
that
and I think also how better the ending of that series was against LA. I think that
yeah,
also added to the
yeah.
fact that
'Cause-
it was a
yeah,
wonderful game and a wonderful series. It ended on such a sour, like, if it was a strike, if it was Scherzer striking him out or someone hitting a walk off home, that's one thing. But on a ticky tack, check swing, that's how it ended. It was such a whimper. You know,
right.
I
And
didn't mean to bring that up.
no, I mean it's crazy. And Gabe Morales, who called him out as the umpire, was the home plate umpire tonight. And Wilmer Flores is doing his Barry Bonds impression in front of the guy who rung him up on a check swing that took the bat out of his hands. And
Yeah,
I think a lot of people, Wilmer Flores is not like some flashy player that you find on the top page of MLB.com a
right.
lot, but the dude has power, and the dude can run into some balls and hit homers. And so, yeah, you never know. Like, he had a knack for clutch home runs in 2021. And so, Yeah, I mean, the bat was taken out of his hands. Obviously, a home run or a hit. I mean, a home run is unlikely in that situation, but he could have done it, and it would have been a walk off because there was somebody on base in a one
Right.
run game. So
Well, short of Otani, is there somebody on your wish list?
it's kind of a weak class in terms of the players who are out there to trade for. I think.
Lucas Giolito
Well,
didn't look very good today for
no,
Chicago.
no.
Giolito. Yeah.
Right. I mean, you're right. Like you look at names like Lucas Giolito, and then you look at the performance, and you're just kind of like, I'm not so sure about that. I think a guy who stands out is Marcus Stroman
Hmm.
because, first of all, the Giants love their ground ball guys. No, you look at the three top ground ball pitchers in baseball. It's Logan Webb, Marcus Stroman, and Alex Cobb. And
Right.
so Giants already have two of those guys, and they tried to sign. He was someone they kind of went down the road with trying to sign him when he ultimately signed with the Cubs. And afterwards, he was like quoted as saying he was so impressed with the Giants and he would love to play for the Giants someday. And so that kind of stands out to me. Also, in 2021, the Giants made a big trade with the Cubs, and so there's familiarity there, getting Chris Bryant. And so I think that makes a lot of sense. They really could use another like stable, steady starter, and he kind of checks all the boxes and is a. I know he's got like an opt out, and so that makes it a little riskier. But
I
because
think
if
it,
he gets hurt, he could opt in, and then you're stuck. But he's having such a good year, he's probably just gonna opt out.
I think he'd be a phenomenal pick. He'd be a great fit in San
Hmm.
Francisco. I think you're right. I mean, he'd be an ideal pitcher in that ballpark. And then your three starting pitchers deep, which is what you would assume. Let's assume they don't pass LA. Okay. I mean, I'm sure you would love for them to pass LA, but let's assume LA wins the division. If you have two really good pitchers to try, if you have three really good pitchers in a best of three series, you've got to give yourself a chance to win that. You would have the home field, and you'd be going up against, I don't know, Miami, Philadelphia, Arizona, one of those teams. You would probably have the leg up. So I mean, granted, Arizona does have good. The top two starting pitchers they have on there are both really good, but we'll see what happens on there. This was a huge night for the Giants. We have someone in the comments section here where they say, "Oh, hey, Craig Brindle, who is our resident trivia king on here." A huge Cubs fan says Stroman is available, so I guess we
There
got
you
to
go.
make an offer. Make an offer. Ben, final thoughts today on this wild night for the Giants.
Final thoughts are that the Giants are playing well. They've been a streaky team. Right before they were playing well. Right now they were not playing well, and so this is their toughest, longest road trip. They're on an 11 game 4 city road trip, including a makeup game in Detroit after they get done with their 10 games through Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and Washington. We've already had rain delays. And so then they come home, and then they've got this long stretch where they only travel to Anaheim. And so if you can play well on this road trip and then go home, you play the Oakland A's after that. This is a period where the Giants kind of need to pad the stats. And so far, they're doing it. It hasn't always been pretty. They swept the Pirates, but it was not an easy sweep. That team gave them a run for their money. And then today wasn't easy, but a win is a win. They're in the bank. And so Giants, like you said, kind of 2021 vibes at times, just doing what they need to do. And I totally agree. It's kind of like they're just maybe performing to their talent this year versus overperforming in 2021 and underperforming in 2022.
And let me just say this one thing: I'm going to be there when the Giants play the Red Sox. So, are you going to be there for
Awesome.
any of those games?
I haven't been to a game all year, and so I probably won't,
All
but
right. Well,
maybe.
I'm
Who
going to go
knows?
there. And full disclosure, I am going to be wearing my Red Sox hat, but I'm not. I'm going to try best not
Fair
to be
enough.
obnoxious. Well, hey,
Giants fans will be they're respectful.
well, the Giants are they're my National League team. They were my dad's team. I was at the 2014 World Series. The only World Series game I've ever attended in my life was in 2014. So I can earn some cred there. Hey, Ben Kaspick, where can they follow your show?
Show is Locked on Giants, of course. Your team every day, everywhere you get your podcast. And then I'm pretty active on Twitter at Ben Kaspick,
You are.
Kaspick. Yeah, a little too active there.
No. You're fine. You're fine. All right,
And
cool.
what
Yeah.
about where can my listeners find you?
You can find me at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter and Instagram, or you can follow me. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram, or you can follow us here on YouTube. Please subscribe because we're looking to meet our goal to get 1 billion followers. So let's just have 1 billion subscriptions. They
Yes.
all help out. Well, talking about a night where, guess what? It was not a night to be a pitcher, but it was a fun night to root for the Giants. This has been a Locked On MLB, Locked On Giants crossover. He's Ben Kaspick. I'm Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.